Very disappointed. Jacob nodded, cheeks colouring. I don't want that. But this isn't for me. I can't spend my life drawing up papers. My father will never allow me to wed a seaman. So what would you do, Jacob, once you come back from your journeys? She touched upon a sensitive subject, she could see. He twisted, muttering something about becoming a merchant, mayhap a farmer like his da. A farmer? She couldn't quite see herself as a homesteader's wife. Jacob raised a hand to her cheek. A healer, I think. That's what I would like to be. He pulled out his 3 books from where he kept them under his bed, and opened the heaviest of them. I know this almost by heart. So did she, what with the time they'd spent perusing the Culpeper herbal he'd inherited from his grandfather. Jacob's finger traced the detailed drawings of a foxglove. We grow this at home. My author brought the seeds with him. She leaned against him to look over his shoulder. You're tickling me, he said. No, she wasn't. It was her hair. Betty hated it. Wild, exuberant, impossible to tame into anything resembling a neat hairdo. And on top of that, a reddish-brown, not a bright gold like her sister's. Jacob rubbed his head against hers, let the book slide to lie on the floor, and kissed her. How long? She said, much later. How many years must I wait for you? I don't know. 2? 3? Betty shook her head. My father won't let me wait. I'll be wed elsewhere before you come back. Around them, the house was quiet, everyone but them asleep. She'd never been in his room at night before, and never in only her chemise and a shawl. She was very aware of her breasts pushing against the thin cloth, of how his gaze kept returning to them time and time again. Jacob moved closer. She shifted away, and he followed after. If... He broke off and took her hand, playing with her fingers. If what? Betty asked, breathing heavily. If we bed. She scooted away from him, bed with him. His fingers grazed her arm, the side of her neck, and she had no idea what to do with the responding flickers of heat that coursed through her. We can handfast, he suggested, and then... Betty looked at him with trepidation. According to her father, handfasting was a custom best eradicated, as it left the woman vulnerable to misuse. But in their case, the betrothal was already formalized, the contracts drawn up and signed, except that the contracts called for Jacob to be 18, and that was more than 2 years away. For a long time, they sat on the bed, eyes locked together. Scarcely able to breathe, Betty nodded and placed her hand in his much bigger one. What was she contemplating? She tried to reclaim her hand, but his fingers had already closed round hers, a warm, strong grip. Her pulse was swift, like the fluttering of a bird's wing, and beads of sweat formed along her hairline and behind her knees. I, Jacob Graham, take you, Betty Hancock, as my truly wedded wife, and to you I pledge myself, Jacob said, eyes huge in his pale face. Betty licked her upper lip, feeling somewhat faint. I, Betty Hancock, take you, Jacob Graham, as my truly wedded husband, and to you I pledge myself. A nervous gust of laughter escaped her. She wasn't entirely sure she wanted to do this. Their clasped hands were slippery with sweat. Jacob leaned forward and brushed his lips against her cheek. His hot breath tickled her skin, and she shivered. He kissed her again. His hand came up to rest lightly on her breast, and Betty felt the oddest sensation, like miniature feet pattering over her skin. She panicked when he pressed her down on her back, a quick, instinctive struggle that made him freeze. He waited, his hand heavy on her breast. She could feel her heart begin to race. He slipped his leg between hers, and she fell back against the pillows. He tugged at the drawstring of her shift, and she crossed her arms to hold.